Welcome to the Configure Price Quote podcast. My name is Frank Sohn and I'm the founder of No CPQ Consulting. This podcast is 100% focused on Configure Price Quote, also known as CPQ, and will provide you useful insights into this topic. My guest today is Kuldip Hillyer, founder and CEO of Kugamon. Kugamon offers a solution with quote-to-cash, CPQ, subscription and renewals, and inventory management capabilities that is 100% native to Salesforce. The company is based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I had Kuldip as a guest on the CPQ podcast before, and I'm very excited to have him back to tell us more about what's new at Kugamon. So welcome back to the CPQ podcast, Kuldip.
Thank you so much, Frank. I'm happy to be here.
Very excited to have you back, Kuldip. And let's maybe start by telling our listeners a little bit more about yourself and what you did before you founded Kugamon, for anyone who didn't listen to the first podcast interview.
Sure. Happy to. So for a quick recap, I came into the Salesforce ecosystem first from being a customer. I was in strategy at Ariba. And at that time, they had about 1,200 users of Salesforce, and we were transitioning them from perpetual to subscription. And we noticed that there weren't any subscription management solutions out there. And at the same time, Salesforce was launching the App Exchange, their platform for ISVs. I ended up joining a company called Zuora as their first hire. And the feedback that I got from them was, and from Salesforce employees, customers, was this subscription management tool is fantastic, but could it be native to Salesforce? When I was at Zuora, it was pre-product and pre-revenue. And so to be candid, and I wanted to get paid, and I couldn't wait for funding and all that stuff. And so I ended up leaving them after about a year and joined Glovia, Fujitsu, and they had an app on the App Exchange that did order management. And I was there for 2 years, and I kind of learned what it was like to build an order management app for Salesforce. But the problem was that they were kind of rebuilding their own MRP, ERP type of solution for manufacturers, and it was too clicky. And because of that, nobody was really using the app, and so I was laid off. And when I was trying to figure out what to do next, I realized, you know what? Let me start Kugamon, and I'll take those lessons learned from these prior companies and try to build a CPQ quote-to-cash solution on Salesforce. So that's kind of how I got there.
Excellent. I think it's a very fascinating story. Can listen to it many times. But so you have quite some experience in the CPQ space. You have had the company now for 13 years. Now, was there anything in the last 12 months that surprised you in the CPQ space? I did not know about the Gartner Magic Quadrant and how that whole process of being part of it was actually kind of eye-opening and fun. So October of last year, we met with Gartner and got involved being part of the Gartner Magic Quadrant. And what that did is through this whole process, we learned what were the key elements that a CPQ tool had. And so the team now, we've been very fortunate to be focused to build a very compelling solution. So I think that's the most exciting thing, was being invited and participating in the Gartner Magic Quadrant process. Very cool, very cool. One other thing, maybe related to what you just said, is there, when you look back and when you founded Kugamon, as I said, in 2009, right? Is there one thing that you would do differently if you would have to do it over again?
So most definitely. Kugamon, so I own Kugamon 100%. I've never raised. And for me, focusing on the product has been paramount to what our corporate identity is having a strong application. And I didn't put too much on
the sales side. I hired folks who are very smart, senior level. All the development is based in the West Coast, in the Bay Area. And I think if I look at the market, I think I should have put more focus on sales and marketing earlier. But other than that, I've just been kind of happy with how things are going. I'm very proud of the application.
Excellent. Now I want to ask you a question which would be probably a little bit challenging for everyone, but you do lots of exciting stuff, right? So because you're a pilot, and you do lots of other interesting things, right? But what's the most exciting activity you have done in your spare time since for the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, you're right. So last year, I started learning how to fly a helicopter, and I'm about 125 hours now, and I've been able just as I'm from England, so I got to fly over central London, which was really cool a few months ago. But what I've been doing most recently that I'm very passionate about is I started taking boxing classes, and I've been pretty much boxing almost like 6 hours a week. Sometimes I'm doing 2 sessions back to back, but that's what I've been really excited about.
Wow, very, very interesting. So, and you joined a club to do that, or how do you find partners, sparring partners?
Yeah, there's a local gym here in San Francisco. It's downtown, and it's been awesome. In the beginning, my arms were like mush, and I didn't really have the stamina. But it's a great way. It's a great workout if you just don't want to run. So it's fun. I highly encourage everybody to do it.
Very cool. So anyone who's looking for good beating, that would be an opportunity to do that. So.
Well, Frank, you don't have to. You don't actually have to fight. You could just hit the bag. You know?
Oh yeah. Okay. Good. So you see, I already thought in the wrong direction. Anyway, that's good. Hey, we already talked about the products and services that you have. So let's start with you. You have a new app, right? Empathy Design Philosophy. Tell us what that is and why that is important for you.
When Salesforce transitioned to Lightning about 5 years ago, this was our chance to kind of do a rethink of how it is to work with Salesforce and how to create quotes and orders and manage subscriptions and all in the Salesforce platform. And so what we wanted to do is just come up with a key set of principles that would be a steel line through our development, the way that we engage with our customers, talk about the app. And so we came up with this philosophy called app empathy. And in it, there's 5 principles. And if you think about it, they're all just kind of common sense. But the first one is just make the app intuitive. And that just comes back to if you're clicking on a button or how the data is displayed, what type of behavior you would see. It's kind of like normal in what you would expect. Keep the app simple. So that's number 2. So things from just labels of text to screen layouts, just make it really simple. The third one is user-centric. So just make sure you understand the user in mind. So, and not everybody has to be an expert. So if you're from the sales rep user point of view to the admin user, just make sure that their workload, their use of the app makes sense for them. And then the fourth one is functional. So the app is pretty, but it also gets the job done. And then the last one is complete, where we kind of look at the end-to-end process and that it helps the user accomplish what they're trying to do.
Excellent. Like it. I think it's easy to understand, not quite as easy to do, right? So, but at least it's easy to understand. And you have seen quite some success with it so far, I guess, right?
Yeah. And what it's done is that it's taken us a holistic view of the app. there's a Japanese philosophy called I'm gonna misspell it, but I think it's called pokiyoki, and it's all about simplicity. And so what we've kind of done through this app is we deprecated a lot of functionality and items. So not only is this about building the app, but it's also getting rid of the clutter and cleaning up. And so we've been very happy. The app has been very successful, and so this has been a great year of implementing this philosophy. So.
Like it, I think that's very good advice for anyone who is developing software, right? So to get rid of the clutter after some time. Anyway, so I wanted to ask you one thing. I think over the last couple of months, even the last year, you've started speeding up your product releases, right? So please tell us what that is. I think you now have a major release every 2 to 3 months or something like that.
We're actually been releasing much often, pretty much once a month, but externally we kind of announce it every 2 to 3. So part of it was kind of threefold. So we introduced some new functionality, we cleaned up the app, and we took a more, I guess, a holistic view of just what is required. So we actually introduced some new modules to Kugamon and all that. So that's what's been driving that cadence.
And is that in general a concern or a blessing for your customers?
So we have a few types of customers. So a lot of our customers, what's really interesting is since we've been doing this for 13 years and our app is a critical app, so CPQ is critical to a lot of companies' Salesforce implementation, that we've had a fantastic relationship with our customers. And it's kind of interesting that Kugamon has been the app that's upgraded the most compared to other apps they have on the App Exchange that they would have installed. It's really interesting that during Dreamforce, I met with a lot of other CEOs and other ISVs, and I asked them, like, what's their challenge? And it's been getting customers on the latest version. And I think with one of the new functions I'd like to tell you about later, I think we might have kind of hit the little secret code of making life easier so users are on the latest version. Some of the upgrades is driven through us, but also it's kind of driven through the necessity of the platform changes within Salesforce. So it's a benefit that, hey, we got to upgrade, but at least the app is faster, it's easier, it's more features. So.
No, got it. So one thing I always think about when I hear that, right? So on the one hand, from my point of view, obviously in general is a good thing. Now the challenge with that is depending on how many users you have to tell them all what the new functionalities are. How do you do that? How do you make sure that all the users have an idea what's really new, what's beneficial in this release for them?
So for the listeners, so Kugamon works 100% within the Salesforce platform. And Salesforce typically, for the folks who are not familiar, you can install these add-ons, and there's a screen called Install Packages in the admin's view, where it just shows you what are all the different add-ons you have installed. And the problem with that is that a lot of big apps like us, let's say Financial Force, Capado, a lot of these big applications are multiple packages. And for most ISVs, you have to either go to the App Exchange and re-download, or some of our competitors, you actually have to go to a separate website and copy the URL to do the upgrade. And what happens is that we have seen, especially with folks using competing solutions, that they have an upgrade. They'll still have a 5-year-old version. And so what we did is we took a step back and said, how can we make the ownership process better? And so we introduced a new technology that's first of its kind, where
it pings our packaging server and it notifies the admin, hey, there's a new package available. So it's proactive. And then we have a screen that helps educate the admin what the new functions have. And then it gives them access to the change log. There's a what's new guide that shows them like a more of a prettier version of what the new functionality is. And then they have access to YouTube videos to learn more about the features. So this has never been done before, where now we have this overlay to help inform and educate the users on when we're making updates. So it's a really nice, clean sheet approach all within Salesforce. So they're not getting pestered by us. We're not sending them emails and flooding their inbox. They're just getting the appropriate notifications all from within Salesforce.
Novo CPQ Consulting helps you with all CPQ related questions. For example, we help customers to find the best CPQ solution for their business, and we help customers analyze their current business process to determine if and where CPQ can help. Here it's important to point out that we are 100% independent and always look out for our customers first. This means for us also that we don't get paid by any CPQ vendor for providing them new customers or for any other services. We are focused on our customers and always provide the best available information to them. We also help system integrators to improve their services, and we offer the only CPQ industry subscription that provides monthly CPQ news and trends. We have many other services, so check it out today at novocpq.com. Send me an email to frank.zone@novocpq.com to learn how we can help you with your CPQ questions, and keep us in mind when you look for 100% impartial CPQ advice. And what you just talked about was one of the functions that stood out to me when I read through your release notes. Another one was self-service and e-commerce functions, and you talk about progress, checklist, and promotion support. Tell us a little bit more about what that is and why that's interesting for your customers.
So even though this is CPQ, not all companies need a CPQ, right? So not all companies require a quote. So for example, we sell to J&J, the Mars Candy Bar Group. We have some large clothing manufacturers. And what they're doing is they're doing a lot of order taking. And so what we did with Kugamon is that they'll have self-service portals. And on those self-service portals, so if you get like in Salesforce, they call it Commerce Cloud, but there's other solutions out there for to do B2B or B2C commerce, that on those tools, they'll have promotions. And such as if you enter this discount code on Shopify and you may get some % off or buy one, get one free. But they wanted that experience within Salesforce if they're taking transactions over the phone. And so that's where the promotion support capability came in. So for the order taker who wants to do who wants to kind of mimic the experience, but doing larger transactions, partner transactions, wholesalers, a distributor type of transactions, they wanted to replicate that B2B, B2C in Salesforce. Mm. The other one about the checklist is that came back from a couple of things. So it came from my experience learning how to fly, and also reading a fantastic book called The Checklist Manifesto, where most problems in a company come from two sources, either ignorance or ineptitude. Either they didn't know or they should have known better. and what we've seen with some of our customers is that during the last couple of years, there's been a lot of turnover. Like we have one customer, very famous in the tech space in Silicon Valley, where in 1 year, they had 3 Salesforce admins. And so as you can imagine, you're running sales ops, rev ops,
a quote is approved or from the client, or an order's been accepted. What do you do next? And so we built the first of its kind, an editable checklist. So it's a little module that floats in the Salesforce screen, and you could put in what are the parameters that needs to be there in order for you to move to the next step. And it could be things like, do you have the address? Is the price book still active? The product active? If this is a partner sale, is the partner filled in? So it's a little checklist so that somebody can see that if all the checks are there, then the big button to either generate the order or process the order, that's visible. And it's practical, and I cannot tell you like how happy it's been, and a lot of savvy customers have actually kind of repurposed that to other parts of the app, like to their leads and to a case, like, case checklist, like all this is there in order to close it, or everything is in the lead before you convert it. So
very cool. So kind of a digital guidance, basically.
Yeah, it's digital guidance. It's
Exactly. Good. So then let's talk a little bit more about some other things. Compare products. So I really like that. Is there anything to say? I think that is pretty self-explanatory, but anything you want to add to that for the compare product capability that you have now?
Yeah. So this all comes part of the our core enhancements to our CPQ, and this was all part of our run-up for the Gartner Magic Quadrant and us putting our best foot forward. Basically, the compare product, the sidebar filter panel, nested configurations, all these were to make life easier for both the admin as well as the user. So they all come under the notion of, let's not assume that the sales rep knows everything about the product, or they know the nuances to find and pick the right product. So we just built a variety of functionality to help provide real-time education and also make sure that they're adding the right products and putting the right price for very complicated type of solutions for their quotes and orders.
Just one more question concerning that topic, that's especially concerning nested configuration. What's special about that? Please tell our listeners why that's an important point to notice here.
So what's really interesting is that with other competing solutions, when you're building nested complex solutions, there's a burden. So there's a burden to the admin to make sure that they're building this correctly and it doesn't bog down. There's a burden to the end user because sometimes the rules come in the way and it slows the overall system, and where you have a slow CPQ. What we did was we took a clean sheet approach and we designed everything for scale. So theoretically, you can have unlimited nesting components. So like if I'm selling a widget, and then in that widget there's an option, but that option has options, and part of those options may have other options, we can support that at scale and with no degradation in performance. Also, we've updated, we created the first of its kind, a wizard for the admins to make it very easy for them to create these configurations and then copy the configurations to other products so they can. So it's a nice, clean sheet approach, looking at how you would do it if you just wanted it to be fast and easy.
Great. Now I have a question that's a little bit different, that's related to the current inflation and recession fears. Do you see any impact from your customers on this just yet?
So what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of folks evaluating CPQ solutions. We see, so what's happening is that, again, Kugamon is part of typically larger digital transformation projects. And so they're getting
Kugamon to manage their subscriptions, their orders, because they eventually want to enable self-service. They want to integrate with their ERP or have automate their provisioning. And so we're part of a larger discussion. I think what we're seeing now is that the people that get it, that understand this, there's been kind of no change. So we've been closing deals. We've been very fortunate. But the ones who are still kind of leery, they're kind of pushing the budget to next year. So they understand it. And we've actually been we've been helpful. So we're like, hey, if you want to get started now, we're so close to next year. We've been open to having them pay later type of thing. So
excellent. Got it. One thing I want to ask you also is from a customer point of view, right? So what would you tell them? How is your product different from other CPQ solutions? What makes it unique?
It's really interesting. So we benchmark our app. We're very familiar with how other solutions are, and and we've been meeting a lot of leadership in SIs and other companies, and what they always tell us is the design. So what we've done is this is not a feature functionality type of issue, because what we realize, like we've got that. So, whatever type of feature function, we can hold our own. What it is the design. Like, can somebody with confidence, create a quote and it's correct? Can they create an order? Can they upsell? Can they renew? And so putting the UI, or if there's a new admin and they need to change the configuration of a product or something like that, can they do it with ease? And we realized that the design truly matters. We've been seeing companies that go from 40 users to 400 users. And unfortunately, in this economy, we've been seeing some companies drop the users. But at the end of the day, Kugamon is still able to support them with ease.
Excellent point. I think design is really key for user acceptance, right? So no question about it. Now, we already talked about the capabilities that you had developed so far. So when you take a look forward, right? So when you talk about the next 12 months, is there anything that you can share with us that's already known or public with your roadmap that would be interesting for our listeners?
Yeah, so we're going to continue building out this Kugamon Central. So we've been heads down, making sure that Kugamon is a very capable CPQ, quote to cash, subscription management solution. Now, what we're doing is helping reduce the total cost of ownership, because we need to be real. Salesforce is very expensive. Typically, a lot of companies will have multiple admins on staff. They'll have developers on staff, and it can get overwhelming. And so what we're doing is building technologies to make it very easy to implement as well as to administer. So this is something that we don't see other ISVs doing, is where you're kind of going outside your application and taking a holistic approach of overall administration. But we think that this is the right thing to do for our customers.
Great. Now, you already mentioned a little bit earlier that you went to Dreamforce, right? So, and hence my question, after the pandemic, right? So many companies go to less events. How is that for you? You going to more events again? Is there any event that you want to tell our listeners about where they can see you face to face?
I guess I'm kind of weird. I love talking to strangers. So I've been going to a lot of events. Actually, I was at an event yesterday, and I was at a user event a couple of days ago. No, I love it. So I went to Dreamforce, went to also all the partner events. And what I'm seeing is that people are wanting to get out and chit chat. It's been very pleasant and just very refreshing. Also, I've been traveling a lot, and I've just been noticing that the airports are busy. It's just
the world just wants to come together and collaborate and learn and have fun.
As always, very interesting talking to you, Kuldip, but unfortunately, we're coming to the end of this episode. Hence, my last question. What's a good way for interested listeners to get a hold of you in case they have any follow-up questions for you?
Yeah, of course. They could always contact me via Kugamon's website or through LinkedIn. Another thing is if they want to just learn, and we've actually built out a robust YouTube channel with over 100 videos. So if they're kind of curious of what Kugamon is, they can just go to our channel, search for Kugamon, and we're always adding videos every week. So, but I'm always available. Again, I love chit-chatting with strangers.
Excellent. Kuldip, we will have all this information in the show notes. Thank you very much for making time for the CPQ podcast today.
Frank, I love your podcast. Like it's one of the things that I listen to. So I really appreciate you inviting me again. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening and hope you learned something interesting today. If you like the podcast, please go ahead and rate it on iTunes or share it with your friends and colleagues. In the meantime, you can find us online at www.novocpq.com. So long, everyone.